Hello there. This is John Anthony Francis Wilcox, and today is Saturday, the 12th of November, 2022. So, what shall we talk about? I hope you're all doing well. I was very pleased yesterday. I had put up um, my 6 songs, and it was 6 songs of the band Kayak, and I got a lovely email from my friend Cindy, who came up with the idea of doing that, of how much it meant to her that I did that. And all I can say is it was my pleasure. You have honored me with your friendship for a long time, and it was a great suggestion on top of that. So happy to that I did something that made you happy. So there you go. So I had this weird, weird dream late last night slash early morning. As pardon me if this is fragmented, but it's a dream, so you understand that's the nature of them. As I recall the main gist of the dream, it started with me seeing Bert Convy, who I had seen earlier that day in an episode of Tattletales, and he was here in Hales Court, I believe, but he was also at my old Bedford Junior High, which features prominently into part of the story as well. And the top of the court here would be number one, was being attacked by Godzilla. And I could see, like, not just the Godzilla breath, but a big radioactive paw. And within it, someone had mentioned that that was going to pollute the water supply. And to that end, I saw Bert Convy go in to a men's room to wash his hands in Bedford Junior, and the water just petered out, and he looked up, and then there was a bright light that was a flash of radioactivity, and he was gone. So then I'm going through Bedford Junior, and there are old, like older than I am now, versions of people that I went to school with, like David Schachter and that, and they're all laying down on these torn down floors of Bedford. Didn't look like that, but it was representing Bedford in the dream. And a lot of people I didn't know, and they were all kind of like moaning and groaning, and they were starving and all this horrible stuff. And people were just talking about that, and I was feeling hungry in the dream. So I left Bedford, and I could see it was one of those things that it's several things at once, which a dream can also do. And I was in New York City late at night, and I was also here in Hales Court at my old house. I know in the dream that's I was still living. I've never had a dream really, maybe one that took place at this house that I've been in since 2010. So anyway, I was hungry, and someone was with me, and sometimes when I looked, it looked like it was Lou Costello. Um, and I was talking about being hungry, and we were talking back and forth about, because this was in the part that was sort of in New York City, that there's always good food to be found no matter the time of day or night, which is true about the city. And so we're walking and we're walking, and I keep getting glimpses of this kind of area that looks, I don't know, like it's got trees and grass and stuff. And keep heading towards that and heading towards that. And Lou's like, there'll be plenty of food. Don't worry, John, there'll be plenty of food. And I'm confused, but I'm walking and I'm walking. And it seemed like I was also walking into the court. And he's like, see, there's going to be plenty of food. And as he says it, I see that where we're walking to is like a graveyard. And I see the heads of like ghouls popping up next to gravestones. And it just felt horrific. And I felt so hungry. And it's like, yeah, there's going to be plenty of food. Don't you worry. And I realized I'm walking into a graveyard. And there's not going to be plenty of food. There's going to be me in a grave. And they're trying to lure me in to be in the graveyard. And I woke up. And I think part of it was I was thinking about how many people I never hear from anymore. And I know I was thinking, I'm just dead to a whole bunch of people. I know I was thinking about, I used to have a friend, Louise, who was a good friend of mine. And I haven't heard from Louise. I heard from her briefly. I guess when I was in the hospital, I managed to get through to her. That was our first time we had talked in like a couple of years. And it was always an excuse after an excuse of why I hadn't seen Louise since I think either 1999 or before that. Maybe even like 19 middle 90s or 1990, somewhere around there. Um, and I thought the last time we talked, I said she really doesn't sound like she has any interest if I'm alive or not. And I feel that way about a lot of people I used to know. It's amazing who I don't hear from. And that was on my mind last night because I was not in a good mood. I had had a couple of conversations that really kind of made me sad. And so I think that mood set the scene and was sort of the director of that dream. So I woke up, it was like 7:15 in the morning. I went out in the other room and I sat and I ate an apple. I talked a little bit to my nephew who was on the computer. I sat out there for a little bit, then I came back in here and I couldn't go back to sleep till I don't know, like 9:30, 10, somewhere like that, and then I slept on and off until uh, quarter to noon. But thankfully, during that time, I had good but frustrating dreams um, with my dear friend Loretta, who I had talked to the other day. She's in Barbados right now. And we met back in '88 doing the Talking Heads video. And she's a real sweetheart of a person. And so, what is that now? 34 years of friendship? Yeah, 34 and counting. 34 plus. And she's a swell person. But yeah, so that was like kind of on my mind. Beyond that, let's see. A lot of work during the week on my website and that. I had been curious. I've always really liked. She's not on this season. A comedian named Melissa Villaseñor, and she was on Saturday Night Live up until like last season was her last season, and I think she said she left because of I believe she said for mental health reasons. But she just put out a new book that's sort of like a self-help book with her illustrations and little stories and stuff. I was very interested, so I sent an inquiry to her publisher, Chronicle Books, and they just sent me a book that came in today. So I'm looking forward to reading that, and I'll write about it. It looks like a very nice, positive thing, and she's always struck me as sort of a positive person. She kind of exudes having a good heart. So so that's nice. So I was going to tell you about a bunch of other stuff, but I think that's really we're done and dusted for this one. So I love you all. I'll see you next time. I still love these glasses, and they go with this hat, don't they? Bye bye.